Welcome back to our course, and we are going to go on with the word knock. Now, why do we knock at a door? We knock at a door because we obviously expect to be let in on what is going on the other side of the door, and we hope that somebody is actually going to open the door. And another thing I want us to point out is, like, this is how I usually study the word. This is how I ask all questions. Why is Jesus telling us to knock? When you knock at a door, why are you knocking? Because you expect to be let in on whatever is going on, and you expect somebody to actually open the door. And another thing that I realized, or I observed, when Jesus uttered that statement, knock and the door shall be opened unto you, is that the moment you knock, you're making contact with the door. Okay? And if you're making contact with the door, there's also something called you're making a voice, a sound. Okay, so there's a voice that is produced, there's a sound that is produced when you knock at that door. So let's continue now unraveling the scriptures and using the methods or the concepts I talked about in the last and previous lessons, and that is using scripture to interpret scripture and finding the mates that Isaiah taught us. So a knock on that door, knock and the door shall be open unto you. But the question we have right now is, what door is this? How do you knock, and who opens the door? Because he says knock and it shall be open unto you. So because we left off at a place called in you, yeah, I remember. Now we have asked for it, and now we have been given. We know that this is about the kingdom and has been given to us. It's a gift. We have sought for it, and we have found it. Okay, we have found out that this kingdom that has been given to us is actually found in us. So we have found that this kingdom that has been given to us is found in us. Okay, but now we need to enter into this kingdom. So I'm introducing this word enter. Okay, so this word enter, pay attention to which places in the verses I'm going to read. It is places where it is being used. So one thing I'd love to notice that I got a little bit confused when preparing for this lesson, because there's a time Jesus is telling us, that is in Matthew 7, knock and it shall be open unto you. But then again in the book of Revelation, the revelation of Jesus Christ, that's not a book to fear, by the way. So in the revelation of Jesus Christ, he's saying, I stand, behold, I, Jesus, I stand at the door and I knock. And whoever opens, I shall come and dine with him. So I got a little bit confused, and I was asking the Lord, so who is knocking? Yes, you're telling us to knock, but then again you're saying you're the one who is knocking. And then that's when I realized that we are at all different stages of growth in our life. And at some point it is Jesus who is knocking and we hear it, and at some point it is us who are knocking. So you, by just the mere act of you buying this course or continuing to listen to it or wanting to know about your life, that is knocking. Okay, that is in itself, in the simplest terms, knocking. But now we want to know, why is Jesus saying that he's also knocking, and how are we entering? Because the moment you knock, obviously, because he has said that it shall be open to you, that means you are going to enter through this door and go into this place. And in our case, it is the kingdom. So the word enter has come. I hope you have seen how I have derived or I have arrived at focusing on the word enter, because he has given us an assurance that it is going to be opened. So that means we are going to enter. Okay? And if we are entering, what does that mean? Because the door is not a physical place, that means even entering is not a physical or a literal action of walking through a door. So what does that mean? So that's when now I want us to look at the Greek and scripture, interpreting scripture. So are you ready? So let's have fun. So chances are we are knocking first, and then there's also a point where Jesus is knocking. I have mentioned this. So the word knock in the context is the word crew. Okay, in Greek it is crew, and crew is to mean is to make a sound at a door. Okay, so you're making a sound at a door. That means you're making even contact with this door. Now, what is this door? If it's not a literal door, what is this door? When we make a sound at a door, we have to make contact with it. Now, in John 10:7, Jesus reveals that he is the door. Wait a minute. Jesus is saying that he is the door. What does that mean for us? What does that mean that he is the door? But before we even go further into explaining how in heaven Jesus is the door, let us read that verse. John 10:7. John 10:7 says, "Then Jesus said to them again." So here, the context is Jesus is talking to them about him being a good shepherd. A shepherd is the one who is in charge of a flock. So you and I are his flock, and he is our shepherd. But he's not just a shepherd. He says that he is the good shepherd. So that means he'll make sure we have eaten, we have drunk, and we are full, and we can rest. Okay, and he leads us to know which paths to take and what's not. So Jesus said to them again, "Most assuredly, I say to you." Jesus is saying to me, and he's saying to you, "I am the door of the sheep." So if Jesus is saying he's the door of the sheep, that means when we knock on this door, that means we are making contact with Jesus himself. Okay? But the question is, what part of Jesus is the door? Is it his head? Is it his body? Is it his eyes? What part of Jesus is the door? Such that when we knock on it, or when we make contact with this part of Jesus, we enter, okay, and find the kingdom that is within us. How does that happen? Because remember, if this is Jesus, that means, and the word tells us that you are in Jesus. That means when you knock, or when you make contact with this door, with the moment this door is opened, you're going to see yourself, your true self, your capital YOU.